Member Crowfoot.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I enter into debate in regards to the carbon tax. When I asked the ministers a question here last November about the impact that the carbon tax was having on Canadians, the effects have only since that time gotten worse. Mr. Speaker, we hear tragic stories each and every day of people who cannot afford to heat their homes, the crippling cost. In fact, Mr. Speaker, it's become a common thing for seniors, families, young people, folks that are small business owners, farmers, and folks that are on fixed incomes, all sending their their energy bills to me, where in many cases they will highlight the cost of the carbon tax on that. Mr. Speaker, I hear so many other stories of people that are facing the consequences of the increased price of food at the grocery store, the cost that it takes, and the impacts that the carbon tax has on every aspect of the cost of living of Canadians. Canadians are the ones that are feeling the pain. But since it's the first opportunity since the confidence vote that took place here only a number of hours ago, where there was a clear opportunity for folks in this House, members of Parliament from every political party, to clearly say that enough is enough. The 23% increase forthcoming in that carbon tax will take place on April 1st, even though it is abundantly clear, Mr. Speaker, that Canadians are not in favor of it. It is abundantly clear that provinces are not in favor of it. In fact, Mr. Speaker, 7 provincial premiers, including 2 Liberals, provincial Liberal premiers, have come out publicly saying that it is time to stop the hike that is coming. It is time to get things under control. So, Mr. Speaker, it is incredibly disappointing that we have MPs from all parties that were given the chance just a few short hours ago, like Conservatives have given the opportunity on many occasions, to take the simple step to reduce the skyrocketing costs that Canadians are facing at every step of the supply chain. And in this place, I've talked extensively about that, but how incredibly disappointing it was that in that vote, only a number of hours ago, Conservatives stood alone standing for Canadians. Now, we do hear often the government talk about rebates. They talk about climate plans. They talk about everything that is so fantastic and how things in this country are just moving along incredibly well. Yet, Mr. Speaker, we see the incredible pain that has been inflicted upon Canadians by an ideological Prime Minister and a government that is out of touch with the challenges that are truly being faced by regular Canadians. Mr. Speaker, it is time for change. It is time for a fresh outlook. It is time to put control back in the hands of Canadians, whether that be on scrapping the carbon tax, axing the tax, to make sure that it's Canadians that make the choice to do what's best with the dollars, the hard-earned dollars that they earn. Whether it's putting Canadians back in control of every other aspect of their life, Mr. Speaker, it is time for change in this country, and that's what Conservatives are offering. Yet, as the vote showed only a few short hours ago, it is clear that it is only Conservatives that are truly on the side of regular, hard-working Canadians, while the left-leaning parties in this place and across Canada have abandoned the people that they have for so long said that they support. The choice is clear. It's just too bad that we weren't in the midst of a carbon tax election where every Canadian could demonstrate that choice and elect a Conservative majority government to axe the tax.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Natural Revenue.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I have to say, you know, we can use all the buzzwords that we want in the world, you know, spike the hike or tax the axe or whatever fancy words that we can come up with. That does not lead to common sense. In fact, I'm really thinking about Brian Mulroney today, the former Prime Minister who actually was a common sense Conservative to fight climate change. He did what was necessary, and that is what we need to do today. What is necessary? And I realize that no amount of legislative action or policy is going to eliminate the hot air coming from those Conservative benches, but we do need to take action on what climate change means to Canadians. And we know that we need to fight climate change, Mr. Speaker. And we need to better protect our communities. And you yourself, Mr. Speaker, in your community would have felt and understood the realities of what climate change really is, and to know the importance of acting now. And I'm proud to be part of a government that's working to fight climate change. And we're going to do that with our pollution pricing system. And that plan is working. The reality is, Mr. Speaker, is that we're putting a price on pollution. It's the lowest cost way to reduce pollution causing climate change. As the member opposite is aware, our system is revenue neutral. It is well established that the cost to Canadians and the Canadian economy to achieve our emissions reductions goals by other means would be far greater. And as I alluded to earlier, while this system allows us to effectively reduce our emissions, it also makes life more affordable for Canadians by ensuring that they are receiving money back into their pockets than they pay. Every 3 months, Mr. Speaker, we're delivering hundreds of dollars back to families through the Canada Carbon Rebate, which gives 8 out of 10 families more back than they pay, while ensuring that big polluters are paying their fair share. In provinces where the federal fuel charge applies, a family of 4 will receive up to $1,800 in the Canada Carbon Rebate amounts for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. Residents of these provinces will receive their first of 4 quarterly Canada Carbon Rebate payments starting next month in April. Our government also understands that Canadians who live in rural areas face unique challenges having to travel longer distances for school, for work, for groceries, etc. And that's why we're proposing in Bill C-59 to double the rural top-up to 20% of the base rebate amount in recognition of their higher energy needs and more limited access to cleaner transportation options. In addition, Mr. Speaker, our government is continuing to implement various financial support initiatives for Canadian households. This includes support for home retrofits, for energy-efficient heat pumps, and electric vehicles. Doing nothing to fight climate change is simply not an option anymore. The price to pay for inaction would be way too high, and that's why we're acting. Mr. Speaker, if you speak to young people in our communities, they will tell you they want us to continue to invest, to continue to make sure that we are fighting climate change, and to make sure that all of us have an opportunity to live in a safe society, a clean society in the future. Thanks, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Battle River Crowfoot.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I rise to take a moment to recognize a dear friend who passed away a number of weeks ago, Jesse Marchand, my childhood best friend, who over the last number of weeks I've had the chance, of course, to think much about the time we shared together, whether that was going to the park, swimming in sloughs, which we called going shrimping, or going to youth group. He was taken far too soon, the consequences of drugs. Mr. Speaker, it's tough to find words to share to his loved ones during this time. But all the love in the world from Danielle and I and the entire Couric family, to Ron and Louise, Jesse's sisters, his partner, Janine, and the dogs that he loves so much, Gus and Tucker. You know, Mr. Speaker, it's never easy to lose a friend, let alone under tragic circumstances like was the case. Rest in peace, Jesse, my friend. I wish we could have spent more time together. Danielle and I are praying for the entire Marchand family as they navigate this incredibly difficult time of loss. And Mr. Speaker, I just remind this place how important it is to say to our loved ones, to our friends and our family members, that we love them before it's too late. Thank you.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and may I, through you, offer my sincerest condolences to the member opposite for his loss, and offer support to the family of Jesse as they deal with this very difficult time. It's moments like these, Mr. Speaker, that we really need to understand why austerity and cuts just don't do it. We need to save lives. And that's why we appointed a minister to deal with mental health and addictions. That's why we have a strategy to combat this really, really difficult issue that communities deal with on a daily basis, whether it's an opioid crisis, whether it is individual stress, mental health, whether it's through the kids' helpline. There are ways that we can provide that support, and that is not by cutting funding to these services. So I encourage the member opposite to continue to support, especially through our budget, the very, very important things that need to be funded in order for us to provide support so that we can continue to save lives, so that more Jessies are not lost in this world. Thanks, Mr. Speaker.
Merci beaucoup à toutes et à
Thank you very much to everyone.
interventions this evening.